There were the beers.
At Sophie's, the whiskeys.
At Pete's, the beers. At
Millie's, the Bloody Marys.
At Sidewalk Cafe.
In Manhattan, the beers. At
the Sidewalk Cafe, Richmond.
There were the beers at
the Abbey, the beers.
At Diner, the beers. At
Main Street Grill, the beers.
At Red's, the whiskeys.
At Bowery Ballroom, the
cocktails. At Rye, the beers.
At the Commodore, the beers.
At Spirits, the beers. At Sammy T's.
The beers at 4th Street Diner.
The beers at 3rd Street Diner.
The beers at the Border, the beers.
At Cuba Cuba, the White Russians.
At Mulligan's, the beers.
At the Lost Sock, the beers.
At 821, the beers at Caffeine's.
The whiskeys at Bandito's.
The sake at Ninja, the whiskey.
At Odessa, the whiskeys.
At Huckleberry Bar, the beers.
At the Brooklyn Ale House.
The beers at Alligator Lounge.
The beers at Lazy Catfish, the beers.
At Bally's Atlantic City, the beers.
At Lakeside, the beers.
At Dumont, the cocktails.
At the Richardson, the beers.
At Muggs, the whiskey.
At the Royal Oak, the beers.
At Turkey's Nest, the beers.
At Orbit's, the shots of beer.
With oysters at I can't remember.
The place, the beers at
Awful Authors, the beers at
the Baja Bean Co., the beers at
Alley Cats, the whiskey at
Hole in the Wall, the whiskey.
At Dokebi, the beers at
the Blue Bottle, the wine at
Mama Zoo, the wine at Ado's.
The White Russians at
Dots Back In, the beers at
Joe's Inn, the beers at
the Chuck Wagon, the whiskeys.
At the Hill Cafe, the cocktails.
At Delish, the beers at
Black Rabbit, Europa, Chennai.
Blue Moon, Pose, Chuggers.
Arcade, Anytime, Pencil Factory.
Spite and Dival, Subway Bar.
Berry Park, Irish Brigade, J. Bryan's.
Horseshoe Bar, 7B, the cocktails at
Helen's, at Fada, at Merriman's.
The whiskey at the Gutter.
The Levy, Mars Bar, Capone.
Iona, Larry Lawrence, Zablowski's.
Trash Bar, Carey Street Cafe, Schiller's.
Havana 59, Buddies, the beers.
At Moto, the beers.
Commercial Tap House.
The whiskeys at Max Fish.
The beers at McSorley's.
The beers at Cafe Gaetan.
The beers at Old Town.
The whiskeys at Detour.
The beers at White Horse Tavern.
The whiskeys at Avalon.
The White Russians at
Bottoms Up, the whiskey at
Whitlow's. The whiskeys at
Sticky Rice, the whiskey, beer.
And wine at the Village.
The whiskeys at Cabo's.
The beers at the Grapevine. The whiskeys
at Bogart's, the beer, whiskey.
And wine at Ipanema. The beer at
Twisters, the beers at Barracuda.
The whiskeys at Five Leaves.
The beers at Motor City.
The beers at Daddy's.
The whiskeys at Enid's.
The beers at Matchless.
The beers at Hank's at Soda.
At Knitting Factory. The whiskeys
at Ontario Bar, the wine at Ino.
The whiskeys at Kettle of Fish.
The whiskeys at Davis and Maine.
The beers at River City. The beers
at ODC.
All right, good enough.